Most people think betrayal shows up suddenly. A blow, an explosion, a moment when everything falls apart at once. But mine didn't come loudly. Mine crept in like a shadow, slow, quiet, almost gentle. It started with small things, a change in his tone, a shift in his schedule, a new hobby that didn't quite match his interests. But the day I knew something was wrong was the day he walked into our apartment holding a gift. Not for me, for someone else. He smiled too easily, laughed a little too quickly, and said, "Oh, this? It's just something I promised a friend." A friend? Right. But the gift, a delicate bracelet with her initials, said otherwise. Still, I didn't confront him. Not because I trusted him, but because I wanted to understand who he thought he was replacing me with. His name was Adrian, a man who always wanted to look noble and responsible in public, the type who'd help strangers cross the road just to say he did. Being admired was his oxygen. Being needed was his addiction. I watched him carefully over the next weeks. He grew lighter, almost relieved when he wasn't with me. He hummed in the morning. He stayed late after meetings. He changed his shirts more often, combed his hair differently, became strangely protective of his workspace, like someone who had something to hide or someone new to impress. But the real crack showed on an ordinary Tuesday. I walked into his study and found a folder, not hidden, not locked, but placed right in the center of his desk, as if mocking me. Inside were printed reservation confirmations, event tickets, and a scheduled weekend getaway. For two. His name and her name. Not mine. Her. That was the moment I realized something far worse than cheating. He wasn't planning to leave me. He was phasing me out. Quietly. Strategically. Like I was a part of his life he could gradually delete. He thought I would never notice. He thought I would never question. He thought I would never act. But the funny thing about being quietly replaced, it gives you time to prepare. And what I did next left him breathless. Before the slow replacement began, Adrian wasn't always this man. When we met, he was charming in all the predictable ways, the gentleman gestures, the soft assurances, the steady hand on my back when crossing a road. He told me I was the calm he always searched for. He made breakfast on Sundays, sent me songs that reminded him of us, and kissed me like I was the start and end of his day. But what I didn't see then, what I only understand now, is that Adrian didn't love me. He loved what being with me made him look like: stable, committed, responsible, admired. I fit perfectly into the version of himself he wanted the world to see, the man who always made the right choices, the man who never strayed, the man people praised for being devoted. But admiration is a hungry thing, and for men like Adrian, one source is never enough. When someone new gave him more validation, a coworker who admired his ideas, a volunteer who praised his leadership, a woman who looked at him with wide eyes, he fed on it like a starved creature. He couldn't resist it. And instead of ending things with me honestly, he tried to do what he always did. He tried to manage appearances, to keep me for stability, and bring her in for excitement. He wanted a backup, a smoother transition, a clean swap, like changing a piece of furniture, quietly removing the old one while sliding in the new one before anyone notices. But I noticed. I noticed everything. And the more he tried to pretend everything was normal, the more obvious it became that I wasn't losing him. He was losing control, because once I realized what he was doing, my heart didn't break. It hardened, and that was the beginning of the end for him. I didn't accuse him. Not yet. Accusing gives a man like Adrian power. The chance to deny, to twist, to cry, to rewrite reality. No, I needed certainty, and the certainty came in layers. First proof. He stopped inviting me to his office events, said they weren't important, but his suit smelled like a floral perfume he hated. Not mine, not my brand, something sweeter, younger. Second proof. He became obsessed with his calendar, protective, secretive, like a man guarding a double life. But the real moment of confirmation, the moment that didn't just raise suspicion but sliced straight through denial, came unexpectedly. He left his jacket on the dining chair. Not a big deal. But a small folded brochure fell from the pocket. A brochure for a lakeside retreat he always said was too cheesy for him. Inside, it was a handwritten note. "Saturday is still on? I can't wait. E.E. Her." The woman from the reservation documents. He didn't forget to hide it. He simply didn't think he needed to, because he believed he had already replaced me emotionally, that no matter what he did, I wouldn't leave. This wasn't cheating. It wasn't impulsive. It was a strategy, a controlled transition, a planned swap. He reduced our dates, stopped sharing good news, stopped holding my hand in public, stopped saying we. Everything became I. I might go. I'm working late. I'll see how I feel. He was phasing me out like a light bulb losing power gradually. But what he didn't know was the woman he thought was too gentle to notice was the woman planning something he could never predict. I wasn't going to confront him. I wasn't going to beg him to choose me. I wasn't going to sit and cry while he walked between two lives like a man comparing options. No. If he wanted to replace me quietly, I was going to exit loudly, and not with noise, but with impact. The kind of impact that leaves a man standing alone in the ruins of the plan he thought was perfect. Because his mistake wasn't finding someone else. His mistake was assuming I'd still be standing there when he finished choosing. The night everything aligned was not planned by me. It was planned by him. He told me he had a networking dinner, dressed too neatly, smiled too confidently. His tie was new, the kind someone buys when they want to impress someone new. I didn't follow him, didn't track him, didn't spy. I simply went to the one place he would never expect. The lakeside retreat mentioned in the brochure, not inside, not up close, just enough to see the truth, enough to watch them walk out together, laughing, comfortable, familiar. She touched his arm. He leaned in. She handed him the bracelet I saw days earlier. The bracelet he claimed was for a friend. It wasn't the physical closeness that hurt. It was the softness in his expression. A softness he stopped showing me months ago. He wasn't planning to cheat. He was already in a relationship with her, and I was the one being slowly erased. I said nothing that night. I didn't let him see me. Didn't confront him in the moment. Because I wasn't done watching. He returned home late, happy, glowing, wearing a smile he didn't bother to hide. He kissed my cheek lightly, the kind of kiss a man gives someone he's already disconnected from. Then he said, "I'm exhausted. Let's talk tomorrow." Talk. Tomorrow. Of course. Decisions about my life were always scheduled around his convenience, but tomorrow would not go the way he expected, because tomorrow was the day he would lose everything he assumed he still controlled, and he would have no idea how fast his quiet replacement plan was about to collapse in front of both the women he fooled. I didn't want to fight. I wanted closure. The kind that knocks the lie out of a person without raising a single voice. So the next morning, I made a plan, not to punish him, but to end the version of me he believed he controlled. The first step was simple. I packed my essentials, calmly, quietly, no drama. The second step, I contacted the retreat center and requested a receipt for the booking he made, the one he claimed was work-related. They emailed it instantly, with both their names, and a handwritten note added by the receptionist, "Happy early anniversary, you two." Anniversary. He wasn't replacing me quietly. He was building an entire celebration with her while still living with me. The third step, I didn't confront him alone. I texted her, a simple message. "You deserve to know the full story. Meet me today." She agreed instantly. She didn't know about me, not fully, not honestly, not in the way she deserved to know. So I invited her to the apartment, and she came. The shock on her face when she realized he lived with me, that's when I knew. He lied to both of us differently, tailored his stories, performed 2 roles, mastered 2 narratives. Minutes later, he walked in. He froze, stopped breathing. His eyes moved between us like he was calculating an escape route. "Let me explain," he whispered. But neither of us allowed a single excuse. I handed her the bracelet he said was for a friend. She handed me a photo of him holding her hand on the retreat balcony. I placed the booking receipt on the table. She placed his messages beside it. I showed her the event tickets with her name printed next to his. She showed me the dinner reservations he made for them every Friday. Together. We unfolded the truth he built in shadows. 2 women standing side by side, piece by piece, exposing the delusions he carefully arranged. He didn't look angry. He looked terrified. Not of losing us, but of losing the false version of himself he curated so perfectly. I didn't scream, didn't cry. I simply said, "You tried to replace me quietly, but you forgot something important. Women talk." That line destroyed him. He sank into the chair, speechless, not a single word left in him. The man who thought he controlled everything lost control of the only thing he valued, the image he created. After that moment, everything inside him deflated. He tried to rebuild sentences, failed, opened his mouth, closed it, tried again. Nothing came out. She left first, not with anger, with clarity. "Lose my number," she said. "You never deserved the way I believed in you." She walked out quietly, taking with her the fantasy life he built around her admiration. I stood up next, not for dramatic effect, for closure. "You can keep the lies," I said softly. "I don't need any part of them anymore." I walked out, leaving him alone with the proof, the receipts, the photos, the evidence of what he pretended to manage behind closed doors. He didn't chase me, didn't call, didn't move. His silence said everything. He wasn't devastated he lost us. He was devastated he lost control of the story. Men like him don't mourn love. They mourn the collapse of the image they work so hard to maintain. And his image crumbled completely. He became a shadow of himself at work. People whispered. His confidence cracked. His energy died. He wasn't the admired man anymore. He became the man who tried to live 2 lives and lost both in a single morning. My life didn't explode into fireworks after leaving him, but it became peaceful, stable, honest. I moved into a new place, bought things that reflected my taste, not what he preferred. I returned to old hobbies, started attending workshops, rebuilt friendships I had set aside for him, and as days passed, I realized something powerful. I didn't miss him, not his smile, not his routine, not his presence, because what I had loved wasn't him. It was the version of him that never truly existed. He contacted me once, a long paragraph filled with, "I'm sorry, I can explain. I didn't mean to hurt you." I blocked him without replying. Some endings don't need words. Silence itself becomes the last line. Here's what I learned. People don't always leave loudly. Sometimes they drift away while holding your hand. Sometimes they rehearse their new life while still kissing you goodnight. And sometimes they try to replace you quietly because they assume you're too blind or too soft to notice. But here's the truth. You can't be replaced if you walk away first. He didn't lose me to another woman. He lost me to the truth. He lost me the moment I saw my worth in the reflection of someone else's lies. If you're listening to this, remember, your silence can be stronger than any confrontation. Your exit can be louder than any argument. Your self-respect can be the revenge that leaves them speechless. Walk away. Let their lies collapse without you. Choose yourself every time.